Update. My dad disowned my sister and he is dying. How do I convince her to let him go? Original post. Backstory. My family used to be really close, but that changed in 2003 when my dad, 55 male, discovered that my mom, 54 female, was having an affair with John, 54 male, my dad's childhood best friend. He was basically his brother back then, and he was my dad's best man in his wedding with mom. He begged her to stay and work things out, but my mom ended up leaving him for John. And eventually they got a divorce and my mom ended up marrying John 5 months later. My twin sister Sarah, 27 female, was always the stereotypical daddy's girl. Dad spoiled her a bit more than the rest of us, and she was basically his shadow back then. That's why it was really surprising to us that Sarah chose to stay with our mom after the divorce. Back then, me, 27 male, and her were the only ones to still live with our parents. We have other 4 brothers. I chose to stay with Dad, and Sarah chose to live with Mom, and in the weekends she come to stay with me and Dad while I choose to stay with Dad, and I occasionally went to Mom's house. To say that the divorce and my sister choosing to stay with Mom messed up my dad is an understatement. He tried to act like he was okay in front of us, but every single weekday for the year following the divorce, I could hear him cry himself to sleep. After the divorce, the relationship between Sarah and Dad didn't change that much. He started to spoil her a bit more than the usual and still remained the usual super dad. Showing up in every parent-teacher conference, ballet recitals and soccer matches, and being the most present dad possible. Things started to change when she suddenly changed her mind about med school. Our dad is a surgeon, and she always said that she wanted to follow his steps. But Mom and John ended up pressuring her to change her career path to become a lawyer, as Mom and John are both lawyers. During her studies, John started mentoring her, and they become really close. And after she finished her education, he got her a job at his law firm. Now on to the issue. In 2017, Sarah got married. My dad was absolutely thrilled about her wedding, and he gave Sarah a blank check for her dream wedding. To be fair, he did this to all of us, as he really liked weddings. But in Sarah's case, he was really excited, because she's his only daughter, and I always remembered him talking about walking her down the aisle. Like every wedding that we went to, he always said to her that he couldn't wait for the day to walk down his little girl down the aisle. But one day before the wedding, Sarah drops the bomb that Dad and John will be walking her down the aisle together. Well, Dad is the most non-confrontational person to walk on this earth, and she expected him to just suck it up. But he didn't do that. They got into a huge fight. First time I see him get angry. And in the end, he didn't attend the wedding and John ended up walking Sarah down the aisle. The fallout was massive. After the wedding, Dad and the side of our family basically disowned her and their relationship became non-existent. She tried to reach out after a while and make amends several times, but he simply didn't want to talk or hear about her. We expected him to turn around when she gave birth in 2018, but doesn't even want to meet her kids. Then earlier this year, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And unfortunately, the treatment didn't work and he is terminal. Even with that, he still doesn't want to see her again and she doesn't understand that. I'm very close to my dad, and these last few weeks are really difficult for me. How do I convince her to let him go? Now for the top advice before reading the update. There really isn't anything you can do. There is no way to make this less awkward or horrible for her. She made her choices years ago. Now she has to live and die with the consequences. I know you would like to make it easier, but I would just step back from this. The only statement should be, I'm sorry, Dad still doesn't want to see you. And spend all your energy on your dad, not on a dead relationship. I would say that by her choosing the man who took his wife and life away to walk her down the aisle, that she was the one who chose to disown her father. She needs to live with the consequences. Absolutely. To wait a day before the wedding to drop that bomb? She knew it wasn't going to go over well. Terrible situation all around. Are people glossing over the fact that the daughter took her dad's money for a dream wedding, and after it was spent, then she tells him, oh, by the way, that dream of you walking me down the aisle? You need to share that dream with the guy that stole your wife and split up your family. That was an absolute scumbag move. It's what I was thinking. The dad was a walking bank account to her, and she never considered all the efforts he did for her. Yes, it's okay to change plans and decide different careers, but he spoiled her, loved her unconditionally, followed her with admiration and care, and she brings a blow like this upon the father who lost everything. She took him for granted. Daddy, thanks for paying for my dream wedding. I need to tell you one thing. I want you to walk me down the aisle with the guy that screwed mommy behind your back and then stole her away. Do you remember him? Your former best friend turned most hated enemy? Yeah, I want to give that man equal honor as father of the bride. I don't understand why you're upset, Daddy. All of this. Any idiot would know that this would cause a problem. And she had to be a cruel, spineless person to spring this on her dad on the day of the wedding rehearsal. And now for the update. A week after I posted the original post, my dad started getting worse. His health started declining really fast, and we lost him exactly 1 month ago. It wasn't pretty. I never thought it would be, but I never thought it would be that heartbreaking. He was in a lot of pain. He's been through so much in these last months. As heartbreaking as it was to us, he deserved to rest. He was tired. In the end, he was lucid enough to say his goodbyes to me and my older brothers. Hearing him saying what he said to me was one of the most painful and beautiful moments of my life. His words to me meant a lot. I won't say exactly what he said because I believe it's just too personal. He said goodbye to my daughters, 11 months old and 2 years old. It was just like when I was a kid. He gave them a kiss on the forehead, told them to be good girls, and said that he loved them. It was something I won't ever forget, and it hurts like hell that they are so young to understand what happened. They still ask about Grandpa, and every time I try to explain to them that he isn't coming back, they don't seem to understand that. And how can I blame them? I'm only 27 years old. I honestly don't get it. I was supposed to get a lot more years with my dad. It doesn't seem fair at all. But the worst part was my twin sister, Sarah. Dad died without speaking to her. I tried to talk to him about her, but he wasn't interested in speaking with her. She started getting more desperate, and suddenly he died. It was expected, but she was in denial. His funeral was beautiful. A lot of people shared their stories about him. It was nice. Sarah saw Dad for the first time since the night before her wedding, and she didn't recognize him. He was very skinny. Dad was always a bit overweight, the famous dad bod, but he had lost a lot of weight from cancer. She cried a lot during the whole funeral. Mom and John tried to show up at the ceremony, and my uncles were forced to kick them out of the funeral. Good freaking riddance. Dad's will went as expected as it could. Dad's family came from old money, petrochemicals, so he always had a lot of money. He left a little bit of money and properties divided equally to all his kids, including Sarah. He left a trust fund which was a lot of money for all his grandkids, including Sarah's kids, which he never met. It was honestly expected. My dad never really cared about money that much. He just wanted us to be comfortable and sure that his grandkids all had something to support them. The tricky part was the personal things. He left a really big letter to all of us, except Sarah. It was really personal stuff. In my letter, he spoke to me about our story, about my childhood. It was really nice. I must have read the letter like 100 times, and I cried every single time. One of Dad's favorite hobbies was photography. He was quite an enthusiast, and the subject of his photos was pretty much our family, when he and Mom were together. Later, it turned out to be just me and my siblings. As a result of this, we had a lot of pictures from us growing up. He gave each of us a photo album, and behind each photo, he wrote something, where it was taken in a few words. I was honestly very surprised with this. He must have done this long before he died. It was a very thoughtful goodbye gift, something that was very typical of Dad. Sarah didn't get any letter, and her album didn't have anything wrote behind her photos, and when she found out about this, she had a mental breakdown. The regret was eating her alive. Still is. She was admitted to a hospital and spent an entire week there. She's doing a bit better now, getting a little better every day. Her husband and I are really confident in her recovery. She's sleeping and eating almost normally now. She still starts to cry randomly multiple times on a daily basis, but it's getting better. At least that's what I'm telling to myself. Which brings us to last week. My wife and I discovered that we are expecting again. It wasn't planned or anything like that. My wife switched birth controls last month, and she spends a week without taking the pill. It's still very early in her pregnancy, so we haven't told anyone yet. The thing is that I'm really angry. I'm angry that my future kid is not going to be able to meet Dad. I'm freaking pissed, honestly. It doesn't seem fair at all. I'm angry and I'm scared. My dad was supposed to guide me in the whole parenthood process. He was teaching me a lot with my daughters. Now I'm scared of doing this without him. I'm scared of not being a good father like he was to me, because my kids deserve that. This is it, folks. This whole situation could be a lot better. I play the what-if scenario in my head every day. Unfortunately, it doesn't change anything. This is honestly a bitter ending. Doesn't seem fair at all, but that's the thing about life. It's actually never fair. I want to thank everyone who gave me advice and to everyone who reached out and offered their support in the chat. I was very lonely at the time. Still am. It meant a lot to me. Thank you, Reddit. This whole situation is sad. It really is. Listen, bud, let me tell you something. Your amazing dad did his job, and he gave you whatever he could pass on to you. Best thing you can do is live according to the good things he taught you. Grab a book and start journaling all your best memories. Talk to your family members. Write down what they remember too. This is the time to do it while memories are fresh. Losing him is sad, but find happiness in also realizing that whatever hardships he had in life are also over. Now you need to do your best to be as great a father as he was, so your children can benefit from him through the hands of the son who raised with his own 2 hands. I wish you the best in your journey forward. Jeez. John must have really done a number on your sister to make her think that having her bi-dad walking her down the aisle with a man that betrayed him and destroyed his family was going to be a reasonable thing to ask. Lots of women have their stepdads and their bi-dads walk them down the aisle together, but not when there was cheating involved. Did she know about the cheating? It just seems like a completely tone-deaf request. Dad probably felt used by daughter. Like one more time he was set aside because of John. On a wedding that he paid for. He must have been so heartbroken and pissed. How cold-hearted was she, man? I cannot imagine the pain he went through. Wow. The sheer arrogance it took for your mom and stepdad to show up at your dad's funeral is hard to fathom. What did they think was going to happen? Oh, hey everyone. Everybody knows we betrayed and caused more pain to this man than even his cancer. But hey, we wanted to be here and give our condolences to our former husband and best friend. I'm sorry your twin sister didn't get to make amends with your dad, but what was she thinking when she wanted the man who caused the destruction of her parents' marriage to walk her down the aisle with her dad? Choices have consequences, and she's dealing with them now. What is your sister's relationship like with you and your brothers? Or the rest of the family? We are all very close. I am particularly close with her because, well, we are twins. Shared a woman stuff, but our older brothers love her and she loves them as well. She was always a bit spoiled by them, the privilege of being the only girl in the family. Now, for the last story, my entire family disowned me because I cheated on my girlfriend. Now my sister wants to reconcile on her wedding day, but I declined because they are dead to me. Basically what the title says. I cheated on my girlfriend. I did not cheat on her. She wanted to open up the relationship, but I found out later that she just wanted to sleep with a certain someone. When she found out that I had also started sleeping with someone else, well, she didn't take it very well and told me to stop seeing her. I declined, saying that I hadn't broken any of the rules we agreed upon, and she just went nuclear on me and told my family that I had cheated on her. To say that they didn't take it well would be an understatement. They basically disowned me. My dad had been cheated on twice before he met my mom, and my mom's ex-husband left her and their kid, my half-sister, for a woman half his age. And in addition, my younger sister met one of those stereotypical jocks that treated her like crap and constantly cheated on her. So yeah, my entire family, parents, sister, and half-sister just loathed cheaters. My ex, who my entire family loved like one of their own, told them that I was cheating on her. It also told them the type of acts we were having, and they just disowned me. I tried talking with them for 3 to 4 months to have them hear out my side of the story, but they refused to even see me, much less talk with me. The final straw was when I went to my parents' house on my birthday while it was raining at 11 in the night, begging them to talk to me, but they ended up calling the police on me. My friends also treated me the same. It's been about 2.5 years now, and I've been doing okay. I moved away to another state, and I don't really have a social life anymore and put all of my energy on either my job or the gym. Then I got a call yesterday from my sister, saying that she was getting married, and she wanted me to be there with her on her special days as we used to be very close, which is true, and that she is willing to forgive and forget. I asked her to expand on that, and she told me that she is willing to forgive me for cheating on someone, and isn't willing to forget that I was a horrible human being for doing so. I told her that I am not available, and have a good day, never to contact me again, and hung up without explaining. My phone is now blasted with messages and calls which I have not bothered listening to. Now, should I actually be trying to reconcile with them because they are my family? Because I really don't want to. They dropped me without ever listening to me and just shunned me for something that I didn't even do. Also, one more thing I wanted to ask you guys. Is this something I should get therapy for? I don't know much about therapy. The only person I have told my story to is my secretary, and she advised me to get some. Now for the advice. You should do what feels best for you. You are in no way obligated to reconnect with your family. In my opinion, your family betrayed you when they left you without even hearing your side of the story. Therapy might be an option. Your words about no more social life and opening up only to your secretary make me suspect that you are deeply wounded and may need healing through outside help. It did hurt, and still does to this day, but the way my father described therapy, that it was only for people who had gone through severe mistreatment only. I was supposed to just get over everything else. Is this something I should get therapy for? I think so. It sounds like there's something deeply wrong about your family from the get-go. Especially this part. I asked her to expand on that, and she told me that she's willing to forgive me for cheating on someone, and isn't willing to forget that I was a horrible human being for doing so. I have a lot of trouble understanding just why she still seems to be adamantly believing your ex. Were you always the black sheep in the family? I wasn't the black sheep. I was just a boy. Like, I was never supposed to have any feelings. I was never supposed to cry. That sort of thing. What is your understanding as to why your entire family seems adamant in not considering your point of view at all? The way I understand it, in this situation, I was introduced to them as a cheater by a girl that they love as much as their own daughters. I was guilty from the get-go, and they never considered my ex to be lying. They just considered her to be a victim here, I suppose. They demanded I apologize to her, and when I wouldn't and just asked to talk to them, they thought I was lying. They never considered me to be the victim here. This is the way I understand it. I don't know for sure because I haven't really talked to them since.